Hello, good afternoon. My name is May, and I've joined Alibaba, I think, around 12 months ago. It's a real pleasure to be here this afternoon. So today, I would like to give you a bit more insights about China. What is the China opportunity, and what does actually that represent for you and for your brands and the companies that are looking into a market like China? Can you raise your hands if you have ever been to China? I see a good amount of people that have been in China, probably this year, probably last year, probably 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. This was Shanghai. Pudong area is one of the most commercial areas at this moment in time in Shanghai, 25 years ago. And if we look at a picture of the same area 25 years after, you'll see that the development is incredible and so fast. That explains a little bit why, when you talk to a lot of Chinese partners, why everybody's in a rush, why everybody wants to do things fast, because China is evolving really fast. There's a huge opportunity for brands, companies that are able to grasp that opportunity fast enough. And there will always be, chances for new business channels within China, for new business partners, and new things that will come out constantly. That's why China is evolving that fast, especially looking at that picture, that there's only been 25 years between the two pictures. There was nothing on the band 25 years ago, and now it's all skyscrapers, big companies, really people doing business around China, and it's moving at a speed that probably way much faster than in the US or in Europe as we are now. So just to give you, I'm not going to give you a lot of stats because I'm sure that you know that China is growing quite fast. There's a huge opportunity. But I'm just going to draw your attention one statistic. And there was a statistics that I was looking at from the Economist Intelligence Unit. And if you look at the consumption growth in China, in the next 5 years, that's actually going to be 2 to 4 times as bigger than in Germany or even in the UK. So think about how big China would be in terms of the retail market in the next couple of years. What is more interesting is that when you look at this consumption, who's that consumption going to be driven by? So most of that consumption is going to be driven by what we call the middle class population in China. And that's a population that has increased their income in the last couple of years. And that's 500 million consumers in China. When we think about Chinese consumers, the first thing that comes into mind is Chinese people coming to London or to Paris to buy the Chanels or the Louis Vuittons. But actually Chinese consumers, that 500 million consumers, are not only buying luxury goods, but are going beyond that, are upgrading their lifestyles. They're looking for quality products. They're looking for upgrading the lifestyle, and they're looking to express their individuality, whether it's through fashion, through the lifestyle. So for example, I'll give you one thing that actually was quite interesting. Around like half a year, 8 months ago, there was a British company that joined the Alibaba B2C platform, Winter of Chelsea. Who could have thought that a British company, a British tea company, could sell tea into China, into Chinese consumers? And actually that's quite interesting. The thing that they were actually selling was not tea. There was a lifestyle of British afternoon tea, which we didn't have in China, but Winter of Chelsea could bring that to China. And that's one of the reasons why, for example, this brand from the UK, it's extremely successful in China so far. Wow. So how much of this consumption is driven by online? I think if we look at the latest reports from BCG, we feel like around like 42% of that consumption is being driven by online, by e-commerce. And around like 4 to 5 categories currently are more than 50% penetrated in online. things like fashion, luxury, for example, food, mother and baby. And I think by 2020, in 4 years' time, 3 years' time, we will see more than 20 categories that are going to be more than 50% penetrated by online. And the reason why online penetration in China is that big is because China is big as a geography and as a country, and then when it comes to Beijing and Shanghai, you have like shopping malls, and you have offline locations that you can go and buy things. But what happens when you go to lower tier cities, like for example tier 10 cities or rural areas? They don't have the infrastructure to transport things. And based on our internal data, one of the things that we have seen is that actually more than half of that online commerce that is happening in China, it's actually coming from areas that are from lower tier cities. So cities that are not the Shanghais and the Beijings, and within that 50%, the vast majority is actually coming from rural areas. Areas that maybe don't have transportation or the infrastructure to get to those small villages. So that's actually really interesting, because that consumption power that the population in the rural areas have, they're looking for quality products and for products to upgrade their lifestyle. Getting into the consumer, especially in China, when we think about who's consuming, we feel like there's more than 65% of that consumption base that is actually under the age of 35. So that means two things. One, that the consumer base is really, really young. And second, that that consumer base is really social. They've been born with technology, with social media, with interacting with brands constantly. So on average, consumers in China, especially young consumers, interact everything from 5 to 7 times before they buy a product. And the reason why is because they want to get that unique experience with the brand before buying. And they want to know the brand really well before putting an order through the platform. So that's really unique to China, and I think more and more we're seeing that with the new technologies, whether it's, for example, live streaming, which is, it's been really popular in China for the last 18 months, or see now, buy now, which is basically buying the products that you see in the fashion shows directly, instead of waiting, like as we do in the UK or in Paris, 6 months from when we see the London Fashion Week or even the Paris Fashion Week. And when we look at a little bit, if we deep dive a bit more on how can we connect China and the world through cross-border, for example, just a couple of years ago in 2014, more than 82%, there was 82% of the people that was buying cross-border, that was the first time that they did a purchase on cross-border. So that actually gives a sense on how important is cross-border for 2 reasons. Chinese consumers look at cross-border and cross-border products as high quality and products that they can trust, and therefore they look into those products to buy directly from overseas. And therefore there's a good amount of brands that when they're fulfilling those categories, especially related with mother and baby, fashion, so everything that touches you or you eat, which are things that mothers and parents overall will really, really value when they buy a slightly more pricey products for the kids or for themselves even. And the case, for example, about fashion is quite interesting. And it's because in China, there's no brands that are able to express, to help the people, the Chinese consumers, express the individuality of what they want to be in the society. So, we have the brands like the Zara's or the H&M's, but at the same time, there's an amount of consumers that actually look beyond that. They have fulfilled their first needs, and they want to express something else, something more unique to the society, to their friends, and to the family. How many of you have heard about something called Singles Day or Double 11? So for those who haven't heard about Singles Day or Double 11, it's actually a global festival that was started a couple of years ago by our current CEO. And it was a festival at the beginning to celebrate basically single people. now has moved beyond that. It's actually become a global shopping festival where there's brands and consumers interacting constantly through the platform or even through their own offline experiences. Just to put this in context and how big this 24-hour sales is in China, the shopping festivals is in China. Last year, November 11, 2016, through the platform, through the Alibaba platform in 24 hours, we transacted 17.8 billion sales in just 24 hours. Just to give you a little bit of sense, that's around like 5 to 6 times Black Friday and Cyber Monday all combined together. And that's how we are, the growth of China. And in the last couple of years have grown for more than 30%. I'll show you quickly a video on the different things that we have actually done for Double 11, the Global Shopping Festival, that it actually goes beyond just shopping and sales, but it's really the interaction that the brands have with the consumers, whether it's through virtual reality or through, through the interaction of the gala that we have. So can we play the video, please? I can share the video with you. I think that was not the sound of the music that was in the background of the video, but anyways. So that shows a little bit of a couple of things that we did. For example, we had a gala. So just to give you a sense of the gala, last year we have a good amount of international celebrities. For example, the Beckons, Kobe Bryant, I think One Republic was there too. So it actually has come to the next level on how we bring those experiences to the brands and also to the end consumers. We also had what we call a See Now, Buy Now, which was basically a fashion show where you can see the products, the exclusive product from brands like Paul Smith or La Perla, and then you could buy directly through the same app while you see the live streaming. And then you'll see also some VR and some omni-channel, like for example, scanning the codes and being able to drive directly to the Tmall store. So Alibaba was born in China, but our mission is really to serve the world. And we have, it was founded in 1999 by Jack Ma and 17 founders. And the mission of our company, it's quite, we're still in the same mission statement. It's really to help businesses, whether small, medium, or big, to do business anywhere in the world, whether it's in China. We're now expanding, for example, Southeast Asia with Lazada. And we're looking into more markets to enable those businesses around the world to trade and interact with the consumers and also the businesses. So for us, it's always really important, and I think Jack Ma said that when we IPO a couple of years ago, the consumers is always at the core of any businesses that we do. So if you look at that picture, we have some of the brands and business units that Alibaba Group represents, whether it's Taobao, for example, which is a C2C platform, the consumer to consumer, where we later on move into the more business to consumer, meaning that brands selling directly to those consumers in China, like Tmall, Tmall Global, as cross-border, and also the enabling businesses that helps those companies and those brands to reach much better the consumer, whether it's through logistics, Cainiao, or even through targeting much better the consumer with marketing and advertising like Alibaba. So it's actually a full ecosystem of companies that we've combined together. And it's quite funny because I talk when I first joined Alibaba, I think one of the things that was quite interesting to explain how Alibaba and what Alibaba is, if I were to explain in just one sentence, imagine you combine 5 Western companies and you combine all the capabilities that those 5 companies can do together for the consumers and also for the brands, being those companies Amazon, Google, Facebook, PayPal with payments, and of course, obviously, social media with Twitter. So imagine you have those Western companies talking to each other. Imagine how powerful could that be for any partners that you work in the world, and also how that could powerful be for the brands targeting the specific consumers, because within the 500 million consumers that we have in China through the platform, not all the consumers for you as a company or for you as a brand are going to be interested, because you may be looking at only female consumers. So how can we help you target that much better through the platform and through data? I really like one of the quotes that Jack Ma have shared with us a couple of years ago, and he always says that, you know, like, now it's always difficult, tomorrow is even more difficult, but then only the day after is when you're going to see the sunlight. And actually that's one of the philosophies of the values that he and the founding team has lived through this, the difficult times of Alibaba, and one of the reasons how we have grown so much in the last couple of years. And for us, especially that now we've opened offices, especially in the UK and London, it's really to help partners and brands to get into China, to be not only the gateway to China, but only going beyond that. For example, Southeast Asia, what are the things that we're doing, for example, with Lazada as we're integrating, or even India with Paytm. So there's a huge market where all the brands are looking at, where at the same time it's quite fragmented, and we could like to combine the efforts and the power to be able to offer that as a one solution. Before I finish, I would like to leave you with a couple tips for China. And I think, as you've seen in the first two pictures, China is evolving really fast. And I think the 3 top tips that I could give any companies, brands, or partners here are 3 things. China is really quick, so you really need to be flexible. Don't go with the idea of whatever works in Europe or in the US could work in China. Go with an open mindset. You know, like, learn about China, because sometimes when you go to China, you learn new things that actually you can bring to Europe, and best practices that probably we have never realized in Europe. I thought the US was the most innovative country in the world 2 years ago when I was working in that market. And now that I've joined a company that is really targeting China, I feel like China has gone beyond that. Just to give you an example, when my friends go out for lunch or dinner or for the cinema on a weekend, you'll never see my friends take the wallet. And at the beginning I was like, why they don't take the wallet? How are they going to pay? And then I realized that actually that is because they do everything on the mobile device. So they pay the cinema tickets, the lunches, the dinners, everything through an app that is called Alipay. So it's basically, if you don't have battery in your phone and Wi-Fi on your phone, you will be able to survive in China. No credit cards. I mean, like, credit cards are really, really old school. I think, like, when my parents were going out, they were using those stupid kind of like plastic cards. But still, like, now we're still using the same things. I feel like we have not really evolved and gone beyond that. And then the second thing is really to be flexible when you go into China, to look at things and at the challenges and opportunities, and really look at them with a new mindset. And last but not least, it's really about investing in your own brand, because China is big, but there's already a good amount of companies targeting those 500 million consumers through our platforms. So how you are going to be differentiated from those brands to be able to attract that consumer and that interaction with the end consumer. So that's really important. So It's really about expecting the unexpected in China, because everywhere you turn in China, you know, like everywhere you go, you will sometimes see some challenges, but sometimes you will see some opportunities. And we're here to help you as a partner, and we look, you know, to help merchants, whether small or big, and through the platform and through the ecosystem that we've built, and we're quite confident that with all those years testing in China, now we are here in Europe and around the world to help more and more brands to be more successful in China. Thank you very much.